Greetings and welcome to my dear Capricorn. This is Ron from Tarot of the Twin Sun, and this is a reading for the energy of Capricorn in the month of August 2020. This is mid-August, a check-in with 3 portals, and essentially I'm going through these portals to show you glimpses of a narrative you may choose to sort of subscribe to or not. It really is up to you. Please take only what you will. I am here only to guide or perhaps give some insight into the complexity of karmas and situations that pan out when it comes to unrequited love or love on the rocks or love, that is supposed to be there. I would invite you to please clear your mind now, and we'll go ahead and get started for the energy of Capricorn, mid-August 2020. Thank you. I am also available for private readings. Okay, a need for space is here, and I think for the most part you're finding it, my dear Capricorn. This has to do with essentially a sense that you are finding the right words or the right ways of approaching things as things unfold. You're on the path for peace, and the thing is that it's difficult because you are also observing something from the past or something that you've dealt with that has to do with the Nine of Rods energy. Something that once was difficult or perhaps proved you some sort of lesson that needed to be learned. And perhaps from what you've gleaned, there's an understanding from a cold, distant perspective of the peace that you can find within yourself, which is good. What crowns and where you're coming from is essentially a need or essentially like your thoughts have revolved around the fourth house of energies, which is essentially the emotional body, nurturing, belonging, and the need to be there in some sort of way. It is the antithesis to your opposite when it comes to your placement within the house arrangements. 10 is usually your good number because it's the externalized world, it's structures. Usually the 4 is the opposite of that, which is the individual. As opposed to cityscapes, it's more of a rural or suburban scape. And there's something about this scape, this place that you may want to feel at peace in that has been difficulty in finding peace in. So this can talk about relocation or perhaps the need to find some sort of emotional fountainheads, an emotional body in which to reside in. Yeah, I think there's a sense of no longer feeling the passion of something that once passed. The energy of Gemini is here, as well as, definitely Gemini, big time. Something about this person's energy, it was kind of dual in nature. They had something of a dark cloud or something about them. Yes, being able to be elementary with you. Yes, being able to be grounded as well as desirous, share cups with you. But also there was something about the way they did the whole above and below thing. And there's something about the lack of respect for your space. And this comes in the most immediate sort of their most immediate current state as a promise broken or the ace of rods in the reverse. So there's a mirroring here that has to do with riddles as well as on your end the riddles or the mystery behind certain things. The sun is also in reverse here as well the ring in reverse, some sort of promise or some sort of magical sort of golden round. Okay, the golden round shows up twice. Twin suns are here. Difficulty in this because there's some sort of promise within this, but you're essentially dealing here with the energy of Leo and Gemini, mostly Gemini, and the difficulty of them to actually ring true to their promises, to what represents their highest sort of goodness. So one thing that they're lacking in is essentially the desire to burn and to purify the situation. There's something very toxic on their mind. The Queen of Rods is also here, fueling essentially some sort of desire for you, but you've become the Queen of Swords, and you have to be careful because if this person is not partitioned with, and your boundaries, they need to be put firmly on ground, and boundaries need to be clearly drawn in order to prevent yourself from being either misused or intoxicated by this person's fire. It's the first time I've ever seen fire as being something like a poison. Especially with the Queen of Rods energy, it could be anger, coiled up root energy that's very low vibration here is on their mind, and the sun is in reverse, so there's a great deal of sadness as well as a feeling of broken promises and a lack of fire or passion or goodness in general. Luckily, the Magician's in the upright, meaning that this person can be grounded, can use elementary things, but then, like I said, there's something about the above that they point to that is heavy on the Magician's mind. So you have to be careful because they can also practice magic in some way, shape, or form. That is the first portal. And I would invite you to clear your mind, if you will. Take only what you will. Remember, these are general readings that have to do with the images and the vicissitudes of forms of narrative that can ring true. So only take what you will. Use your discernment and your intuition. I appreciate you, Capricorn. This is the second portal. The first portal is now closed. Excuse me. Okay. This is for the free roaming Capricorn, the one that is now open to exploring the potentialities of the Nine of Cups energy. The Rider is here within Lenormand. Very lucky combination. Also, the 22 is here in the reverse. Fixed energy here, and the World showing up, O Mundo. What crowns you is the sense of strength in reverse, a forza, which is fortitude, in the reverse. There's a difficulty here in trying to understand or perhaps reconcile with past energies that have to do with contracts. The 11 becomes the 22 as well. Leadership gone astray, or perhaps some sort of master plan gone astray. But there still is some sort of portal that the knight can ride through again. You have to be very careful because the cups energy can open up pathways, but it's difficult for water to truly be grounding in some sort of way. There's something about the way you're moving about right now that is excellent for exploring the waters, exploring emotional possibilities. However, the Seven of Swords is here, and something is coming as a type of message from the past energy. So there's a letter of peace, but there's also a possibility that you would tear this message to bits because of a sense of essentially the contract being spoiled in some sort of way, something that has already transpired or perhaps is trying to transpire, the change and shifting of emotional undertones, the walking through to different realities, and one of them being poignant. Someone here is trying to offer you something um, meaningful. The Valete de Oros, which is the page of Pentacles. Oros is also the sense of the Ouroboros, which is the snake that eats itself, the golden round, the ambition of certain things. This page is quite childlike, and not only that, they are repressing something, a feeling, um, and their curiosity is a bit obsessive at this point. It's not controlling, it's still quite passive. And it has to do after a great deal that was once on their mind of how the situation fell out, or perhaps, yeah, there it is, the snake, the Ouroboros was waiting. So, snake in reverse, fox in reverse. There's something here that has to do with the idea of trying to be distant, yet not being able to really tame themselves. There's something about what they've observed about themselves or others or you even, and there's something about that that compels them to essentially make this offer. The offer is here, the round is showing up, the golden round. And on the crown is essentially the Eight of Swords energy, some sort of mode or some sort of expectation of family and the garden that needs to be sort of set loose. They're going through circles in their head, and it spins around you and a repressed connection that is within you and them. But I think you're trying to move on from this, which is indicative of the world's energy. If it were in the upright, there would be a move on. There would be some sort of closing, but there still is on the down low some very deep and intense connection that you may be trying to revisit in terms of the offer that they have. Maybe this is the change that you were looking for, some sort of grounded, energetic exchange that has to do with time, energy, resources, love, in the sense of the pentacle, some form of happiness, some form of nurture. But it is a challenge, and it once again has to do with your seventh house, the energy of Cancer, and the fourth house as well, the energy of home and belonging in the emotional body. But because of a fourth side, there's a lack of strength on both ends. One is psychological, the other is essentially to the word, something that you promise to yourself, and it seems to me that you're exploring for the time being. Right. Thank you. I do appreciate you for tuning in. The third portal is now underway. It's about to open. I do thank you very much for any likes that you would throw my way. Otherwise, I am open for your dislikes or perhaps your personals if you would like to request one. It's not necessary, but it does help the channel. Right. The third portal is about to open. Interesting. Okay. You guys share something here? No. Wow. complicated. Mm. So there is a type of loyalty that you have on the deeper aspect of this connection that has to do with them essentially inhabiting the Nine of Swords energy, overcoming some sort of fear and no longer being held down in a certain way. They have a sense of freedom. Um, it's as if both of you have the ability to be free in who you're choosing to be devoted to. And this has to do with the Seven of Cups. Seven of Cups, not only that, the roots of the banyan tree, the roots of the oak tree. There's something here that has to do with the creativity and the ability to enjoy each other, be devoted to that enjoying on the deep down rooted sort of things that have come to fruition. Essentially, there's a sense within this situation, your entanglement, that has to do with certain illusions that have to do with the expectations of devotion, as well as the expectations of transgressing or transcending holdbacks when it comes to fears and communication about these fears. One person is flighty, the other person is grounded, and I think you're the more grounded one in the connection. Now, there's something about the secrets that is here within the moon's energy that is crowning your side here. My dear Capricorn, this has to do with the energy of Cancer, as well the energy of Pisces. Any depths or emotions that come through the mystery of belonging, but also the mystery of dissolution. And with the Eight of Cups energy here, there is the amount of despondency, a kind of departure, a kind of ebbing and flowing, some sort of movement that has to do with the setting of the sun or the setting of the moon, the setting of something. And this sort of ending is on the horizon, at least for the time being. But it is apparent, and it's also something that is always going to be returned to. It talks about entanglement and the need to, excuse me, see or be moved by the energy of the sun or the moon. Right? The moon moves, the sun shows. And there also is something about what you represent in terms of what you're going through now, which can be a bit painful. Also, especially because the Hierophant is here in the reverse. It's not very pleasurable what you're going through now, but it has to do with some sort of separation. But that's the irony, because you still feel devoted with the Two of Cups energy here to this connection. But it feels like it cannot be materialized, at least through the garb of the High Priest, as well as through the garb of Taurus, which is very committed. There is an anger or a type of severance that comes from silence here. And it's very painful for you, for one thing. But you're leading on, you're moving forward. And there's something about the fire and the light that you are now fostering that helps you to move forward. This light also is offered this way, but not so much offered. I mean, there's a complexity here that has to do with the nurturing aspect of them, wanting to nurture or foster something through the energy of Taurus to you, but being unable to do so because there's a type of partition or a boundary that you've created with them. It's like a firewall. Also, there's something about what they're dealing with in the past that has to do with children, or perhaps an offer to something that is irrevocably denied by a father or mother figure. The key to home is inaccessible, and there's some sort of grand orchestration not through the leader, but through higher forces. That has to do with them not finding a sense of grounded, emotional body of sorts. There's something auric about them that is needy, and it also wants to still give to you in some sort of way, which is not the very best of combinations of health. Um, there's a possessiveness that they have that I think you're definitely being clear, not to give without condition to them, but yet at the same time there still is that unconditional sort of entanglement here, which is quite deep and very beautiful, but I'm sure it is quite difficult. At this point, this reading is over. I can't read anymore. I might break down if I do, but I think it's a very beautiful sort of lesson you have here. As I said, the moon, it moves. The sun, it shows. And that's what's missing right now. So I hope you find grounding and balance within your emotional self, and be well. Goodbye.